I'm not here. I'm not available. Who's this? What do you want?
Johnny, it's Stephen Fry here.
What are you doing to me? Getting me up this time of the morning?
I'm investigating a very interesting subject in which I think you may be something of an expert. That's the nature of emotion in language.
Oh.
And you've written an autobiography whose title is Anger is an Energy. How do we really use language so that people know we're not faking it?
Well, I mean, at age 7, I almost lost my life completely. I went into a coma. I mean, when things came back, they came back in not all in one big tidal wave, but I'd say kind of dribbles over the top of a dam. And the concept of anger being an energy to me was because my parents were told to not mollycoddle me, to not let me wallow in self-pity, but to keep me angry, and that would bolster somehow my previous life. That anger has been my energy ever since. And I found a perfect platform at that time, which was the Sex Pistols, to voice an outrage.
Johnny, do you think that as a singer, part of your role is to give expression to vital human emotions?
It became that way accidentally. I became a singer just by a T-shirt which stated I hate Pink Floyd on it. So I suppose from there on in, I was the accidental tourist as a singer. But over the years, what I've learned to do is not hone in on specific targets like governments, religions, politicians, but to start looking inside myself internally. And hopefully that being a learning experience for said audience. What I love is to absolutely go into an emotion fully. Yeah. And those songs shape-shift according to the vibrations that an audience transfer to you. And you can't help but end up with a wrinkled puss because you believe in what you're doing. What we could call laugh lines or cry lines. I mean, I'm full of them, but thank God for them.
Yes.
And so even when dealing with great tragedy, and some of the songs are about terribly painful things to me, there's a relief therapy in it. Sometimes we just don't have the words to express fully the emotions we're trying to transfer.
That's the point. Absolutely.
Or duplicate or whatever. And music helps there, no end.
Of course, we're supposed to learn how to balance language and emotion. Indeed, the language of emotion is a significant factor. For example, dear listener, I told you I was feeling emotional today, didn't I? You don't mind me calling you dear, do you? I mean, if I wrote you a letter which started that way, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. But if we met and I started to call you dear, you'd think it was a bit odd, wouldn't you, dear? Dearie. This, what we call phatic language, has an emotional purpose too, doesn't it? A calming one, emphasising sharing and agreement. But not everyone can share so easily.
The kind of autism I have is called Asperger's syndrome. I get very sensitive and I can't control it. And sometimes it's a bad thing because all the other kids are laughing when I'm just crying, screaming at things that they're not. I don't like saying certain words because they just make me feel all tense and unhappy. Quite a lot of people, they don't have much understanding about it. They don't mean to be mean, but it does hurt my feelings because of my sensitivity.
That was Rosie from the archive there. And this is Dr. Rebecca Chilvers from Great Ormond Street Hospital, who works with children like her.
There's a common misconception, I guess, that people with autism don't talk about emotions, or at least don't experience emotional states. And what we know actually is they do experience a range of emotional states, but they find it very difficult to put those states into words. So what you tend to find is individuals who can put perhaps one state into words that just describes a general state of arousal. So, for example, they might say, I feel stressed, and when I'm happy, I feel less stressed, ranging right up to those who have very eloquent but very idiosyncratic use of language. So they come out with these beautifully rich, imaginative descriptions of emotional states. So if you think about happiness, a 6-year-old I saw recently said, if it feels like you have imagination inside you and you really want to play it out. You can get very physical descriptions, for example, talking about anger as saying, I push my lungs up and I pretend to breathe fire at them, which is incredibly evocative of that sort of physical feeling that one would get.
And when I completely lost it,